Welcome to the Nitty Gritty. Another special 2.0. Is this our third 2.0 or second?
Best 2.0.
It's our first
It's the
2.0.
fourth.
It's our first 2.0 in 2021, right? With a very exciting guest. And one of the queens. No, I don't like that word anymore.
Me neither.
Like,
What's bigger than a queen?
queen has been kind of overused, hasn't it? What's bigger than a queen?
Emperor.
The Emperor.
We have the Empress,
Yes.
Anna Macfarlane.
Oh my gosh. Thanks so much. That's so nice of you.
Her 2.0. So wait, Brent, do you know how long it's been since we had the first episode with her? 69 weeks. Whoa.
I'm not going to laugh. I'm going to be mature, pull myself together. Let's just say 70 for the audience.
Up.
For the audience.
This is perfect. 69 weeks. Grow up, everybody. For heaven's sakes. Welcome. Thanks for coming
you.
back.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for being patient
This
with
is a
me.
drive. No, we didn't have to be patient with you.
It was a drive.
We only had to wait a week.
Oh.
Like most emperors.
Well,
that we
let's look
talk
at
to,
Andrew. What is Andrew?
Most
Andrew's been
emperors
asking.
give us like a 2-month. Like, yeah, maybe
Oh, okay.
January
Most
or
emperors
March
don't come.
There you go.
or that. So yeah.
No, they're just queens. Come on.
So welcome.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks for coming back.
It's good to
What's
be back.
new?
That's a really good question. I don't know
We've
what's
been talking
new.
for like 30 minutes.
Yeah, so it feels like
Some
nothing's
really
new.
juicy stuff.
That is not going to be
Like
shown.
maybe one day,
Ever.
we'll have the pre-show B-roll.
Brent just told us that he's like holding us hostage.
Yeah, he's
to
like,
his
if
position.
Listen.
if we ever get rid of Brent said that I'm toast.
I'm
because of everything he's
fine.
recorded.
I'm fine. Like I said nothing defamatory, but like
Right.
just for you guys, I think
did.
it should not be shown. I'm above the law, Emperor.
Yeah, the pre-show is always, I vent more than, I've been on here. I get in trouble on here sometimes, but it might be a different level. I'm sorry. But we were talking about The Bachelor. Do you watch The Bachelor?
Yes, I do.
Oh,
That's a great question.
thank you. Listen, most of the people listening to us right now, they watch it.
Oh yeah.
And that's
Yes.
okay.
Do you watch? Here's the question. Here, I'm going to ask you a question. You guys feel ready for this?
Yes.
Do you watch The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City?
Hell no.
Oh, come on.
Never
Neither
seen,
of you?
Never seen
I
like even.
I watched
No?
one
I've
and
never even seen a clip
The
of
first
it.
one.
furious.
Yeah, you would be mad about the first.
Do you?
Yes, I do.
Oh my! So one of my best buddies.
Yeah.
He's been a friend of mine for 20 plus years. One of them is his sister.
Ooh.
I don't even know. if I
Sister
wanna
or
talk about it.
sister-in-law?
No, sister.
Sister.
Yeah. And I mean, you can't really say the crazy one because they're all crazy.
Yes.
I watched the
TV.
first one and I'm so over, like, if you can't be more creative than the church angle
Right.
in Utah, like, you suck at your job. So quit pushing the LDS. Oh, dude, it's the whole foundation of the show. Like, these women are all like,
Definitely episode 1. And it keeps going through. I think like season 2 is going to be interesting. Like they can
They're
get it
doing
out of the
season
way.
2?
Oh, heck yeah. It's like, it's gotten really good visibility and reviews because it is different, and they do have that. But I think I don't know. I don't know anything other than what I believe that season 2 will just let that kind of go a little bit more because now you'll know the people. And
I don't feel like I've ever met anybody like one of those women in Utah before. Ever. Not even close.
right.
They're crazy.
Yeah. Well, the first season when they were like, I rule Salt Lake City. And I'm like, I've never heard of these people.
Seriously.
Like, how do you rule
And
the
I'm
place
the
I've
Empress.
lived? And do you know who I am?
I mean, this is my town.
I'm the actual Empress, and I've never heard of you. And then I do the vocal fry, and I've never heard of you.
Vocal fry.
And I'm the Empress. So, yeah, anyway, I just wondered if you'd see
We
it.
need to ask that on our social media. How many of our listeners watch that show?
Yeah,
I'd be really interested.
my husband won't watch it.
Because listen, I'll watch some pretty feminine stuff,
Yeah.
some pretty drama stuff. Like I've liked, I've got my little connection to Chris Harrison, but I liked The Bachelor way before that. Like
Sure,
that's
sure.
the only reason we met or became buddies. It's because I was,
Yeah, making meat for The Bachelor.
I was making meat for
But what's... Bringing the meat to The
Bringing the
Bachelor.
meat.
But wait, so what are the other feminine shows you watch? That's really...
I don't really know.
Andrew?
Off the top of my head, Like all the Bachelor stuff I dig,
Yeah.
but man, I don't know. I mean, I
Bachelor
watched
Paradise.
Grey's for a long time.
Okay.
I can't handle that anymore. It's just a bunch of doctors humping each other, and they're so like whatever the social thing is. Same with
Sure.
what's the other doctor show that I watch, The Resident. Have you ever watched that?
No,
It's good.
I have no
But the
idea.
first episode back, COVID-19.
Oh, sure.
Seriously,
That's been interesting. Like all of the shows, they're all
I hate
having
it.
to like include that in part
feel
of the
real.
like the script
Right.
or whatever the story.
like we go to TV to escape,
Right.
right?
Right.
Like I don't want to hear about COVID. I imagine social media is kind of the same way. Like if
Right.
somebody was just talking about COVID the whole time, we're probably going to mute them.
Cam, that is the best segue I think you've done all year.
Well, thank you.
That was like a really good segue.
Thank you.
And I agree.
it.
Let's talk about social media.
Well, you are the emperor
No, but
of
I
social
know.
media.
No, but you're
Empress.
right. Like we don't want to see things that are just the same as our normal life. Like
Right.
that's why it gets boring. And if we're seeing the same things that we're doing, then we check out.
Right.
Isn't that
Oh,
why
I
people
agree.
fake their lives on social media?
For
Because they don't want
sure.
it to be the same.
Yeah, I need to stop using that skinny app. Just accept that I'm
Oh,
400
filters?
pounds. And
Do you
no.
really use a skinny app? I'm like, what is it? Hold on, let me find it in my
No,
in my apps.
I
Tell
don't.
me more about it. Oh, I know. Yeah, but then at the same time, I tell people if you have to add a filter to actually post a picture of yourself, then add a filter. Eventually, you're going to get comfortable enough to not add the filter, hopefully, maybe. But if we're not taking pictures of ourselves because we don't feel like we look how we think we look, then add a filter and then show up. Be there.
I wonder if it's
Present.
more, do we think that we don't look that way, or we just don't want to look at it? We're just in denial that that's what we actually look like. Do you know what I mean? Like you kind of just said, we don't post something because we don't feel like we look like that.
Yeah.
But maybe the best thing would be to just convince yourself that, no, you do look like that. So if
Well,
you don't like it, do something about it.
you're both really young, so
We're both really.
Whatever.
you're like
How
really
old are you?
spring chickens. Hold on, 42.
I'm
old enough
41.
that I have to think about it for just a second. I've lost a couple years where I'm like, I'm turning 42, and my husband's like, no, you've been 42.
It does get harder to remember after 40, it feels like.
Well, okay, so my mom told me once. She said she looks in the mirror and she can't believe what she sees because she still sees herself in college. When she thinks about, when you're just going around in the world and you're doing your thing, you imagine that you look younger than you do.
For sure.
Yeah. And so I think that's the same thing is that, our parents' generation and even our generation to some point, we haven't been documenting our lives as much as we are now.
Right.
And so to see ourselves change and to age, it is a little bit more in our face.
That's
so,
really interesting. I've
Kinda like-
never thought about that.
It's almost like when you'd hear yourself on a
Voice?
on a microphone,
Mhm.
Yeah.
like you'd give a talk somewhere and you're like, I don't sound like that.
Yeah.
It's
And
very true.
Except now, when my husband is watching Instagram stories or something, I'm like, is that me? Are you listening to me? I heard my voice. And he's like, yes. I'm like, okay, watch the whole thing. Don't skip forward. No, but
Hit like,
Yeah.
comment,
make sure
share.
give a good engagement on
See,
that
that's the
one.
hard thing. Like when you like somebody,
Oh no.
you have to finish. You have
No,
to
no,
go
no,
through
no.
them all.
It's my
It's
husband.
so hard to
only.
do.
My when I hear my kids, I know my kids are skipping through. So
Yeah.
I'm like, whatever, I'm used to it. But my husband, I'm like, no, you need to make sure you know what I'm talking about because we'll be talking about this later on our dinner date. So you need to know why this matters. No, but it's funny. Yeah. Cause like when you used to hear your voice message, you're outgoing when you first got your cell phone and you would re-record it so many times. And now I think about how that probably didn't sound like me at all. But now
You were changing your voice to what you
you're
thought
like,
you sounded
Hi,
like.
reached Anna. Thank you so much.
Isn't
I was
that
like,
funny
so
how
nice.
we do that?
Yeah.
Like watching The Bachelor made me realize just how, like, the style of talking and the way we, inflection, is that the right word?
Sure.
You listen to something from like the 50s and they're all nasally.
Yeah.
They talk like this.
See?
Like that was cool. But now it's the exact opposite. It's like slow, talk like you're dumb,
Gravelly.
and do that, like talk in the back of your throat like this. I'm going to LA.
Well, as Empress, I would like to suggest we all bring back the nasal.
I think
And the
nasals.
C.
And
I
the
just
what?
think adding C, like, There's news.
Oh, yeah.
There's news. See, everyone wants to do that. See?
I think hipsters were talking like that for a minute.
They say see.
Yeah,
Oh,
they were
shoot.
kind of. Remember, they were carrying around like old rotary phones and stuff as their cell phone.
Never mind then. I
But
changed my mind.
yeah, I don't like the direction that we're going in. But then again, it might just be. We do have to separate TV from reality
For sure.
because it is, Real Housewives of Salt Lake, for example.
Totally.
Any of you that listen to this and you don't live in Utah, if you think that that's real in Utah, it's wrong. I've never even seen one of them. Oh, I have so many things I want to say right now,
Yeah.
but I'm not going to because maybe one of them will want to come on the show someday.
I think you should have all of them on.
Oh, hell
That'd
no.
be great. Yes.
No.
Just say yes.
I would have to be heavily medicated to sit through that. Heavily medicated. So
Well,
since you were here last,
Yeah.
69 weeks ago,
69 weeks ago.
what have you seen any trends changing in social media
Oh, constantly.
constantly? Like
I
what?
love it.
What are you seeing? Right
Man, we
now?
had a
Or-
lot, like the boom and almost like potential bust of TikTok,
Oh, yeah.
all the crap going on with censorship. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff.
Oh, so much. I mean, yeah, TikTok has changed social media big time, especially how we're consuming videos and the types of videos that are being created. And even like in the last couple weeks, seeing how Reels has changed. That's the Instagram version of TikTok, just in case you didn't know. And seeing how TikTok has changed their save capabilities. So before, like TikTok would show in the left top corner and the right top bottom corner when you saved a video or shared a video, and now they're showing their watermark right in the middle of the video, so you can't really cut out that it comes from TikTok with the creator's name on it. And that's definitely a response to Instagram Reels taking so much of TikTok's content because they're trying to keep people on Instagram instead of getting them to TikTok. And I think we're going to see the way that Instagram allows Reels to change and add time, and they just changed music the last week so that you can't use certain music for copyright.
It's so weird how different accounts get access to different stuff. Because like
bull.
the nitty gritty account, like my account, like my personal account for some reason gets like everything, like all these new
Yeah,
features.
if you're not a business,
Yeah, business is
it's totally
the first
different for
problem.
business, right?
Yeah.
Are you a business at Nitty Gritty or a creator?
I think
We need to switch to
creator.
creator.
Yeah,
I
be a
think it's
creator if
creator.
you're not.
Yeah.
We need to be a nonprofit. Then they'll give us everything.
No, that's not true.
No, that's not true, Andrew.
No, sorry.
Just so you know.
No, Andrew. No. But definitely creator over business. And unless you're like doing a ton of ads, which you're not.
So how much of
Right.
your time do you spend Insta versus TikTok?
Oh, TikTok for me is all consuming. No, it's not all consuming. That's not an
Take
adjective.
all of your time.
It's just, I consume on TikTok, and that's where I kind of spend a lot of I get a lot of ideas, or I see what's trending. For a long time, if you notice this on Instagram, Twitter was creating a lot of the memes. So you can still see it. People are just screenshotting tweets and posting them as memes or as quotes on Instagram. And now people are using videos, taking them from TikTok as the creators. They're not really creating them on Instagram. So Twitter's was kind of first, and now TikTok. And so I go just to kind of see what's trending, what's kind of coming and new. And then it's also where my older teens, not my two younger kids, but it's where we share a lot of content. So I have that shared experience with them, so that know that they're on social media and we kind of see things. So I feel like we're connecting there, and I see what they're interested in. And it is an easy hole to fall into, TikTok. Do you guys get on that?
No. Hold on. I have an account just because my best friend will send me videos once, and I've said this before on the podcast, but I don't know that I've ever opened TikTok and spent less than 30 minutes on it.
No, exactly.
Like, I don't use it for my personal, like, I don't create anything on it, but he'll send me a video to watch, and, right when it finishes, it scrolls down to the next video. And
it's so good.
they already know me, and I hardly ever even use it. And anyway, it just drives me crazy.
I love
it is pretty impressive.
So something about TikTok for me is that I got on about a year and a half ago, and I was like, oh, this is fascinating. This is interesting. So much growth is happening. And then in last summer, the summer of 2020, when everyone was homebound and all of that, and then the 10-year-olds got on. And it was, those 10-year-olds, they're the worst. But I'm telling you, it was actually a really nice social media experience. Yes, there were the people dancing and provocative content that you have to train.
Who wears?
Who wears?
Who was horse? Sorry.
Oh, yes.
That's how mafia people say horse. Who was?
Oh,
Where is this going?
I'm like, wait, huh? They're just dancing. Jeez Louise, make it what you want. No, but it was like a really kind, generous social media experience. Like people were becoming successful that would not be successful on Instagram or Twitter or Facebook. It was just really
why is that?
accepting. I don't know. I think
Isn't
it was
Reels just them trying to copy TikTok or take some of the market share?
Yes, totally.
But like I thought TikTok wasn't like you're not monetizing it. And
Some people are.
okay.
It's probably more about the kids, right? Like if whatever the youth is into is what dominates.
There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
But like some of my favorite accounts on Instagram are like these 80, 90-year-old women. And they're,
Really?
oh my gosh, they're hilarious.
I'd follow a Betty White account.
Yeah.
She's awesome.
There's this one lady who just dances, shows you her sweater. She's like, there's this one part that my husband and we seriously say it all the time. It's like, I don't know why anyone cares, but this is my outfit. You can wear any color pants with this shirt, anything. And she does this little dance. So we say this all the time and we'll be like, anything. Like it's become such a part of our conversation. And she's just this 80-year-old lady.
That's kind of fascinating. Senior citizens have always kind of been like, oh, we got to take care of them. They're not producing anything, or they're not creating or setting any sort of style, way of talking.
Yeah.
Like the fact that they can get on there and now you're saying what they say.
Oh, all the time.
That's pretty cool.
And like you see some of the comments too, and there are a couple of grandmas on there that people, they'll say, oh, you're all my grandbabies. Like they'll talk to the people and people respond like, my grandma died. I love following you. It makes me feel really connected to her. Or I never had a relationship with my grandma, but like just following you makes me feel like I listen to what you say. And I'm thinking, like,
Mr.
that's
Rogers.
the good part.
We need Mr. Rogers
that's
back.
the light. That's the benefit that's actually happening. But then you get these freaking 10-year-olds. But
Who was?
I'm just telling you. No, they got on and like I saw these mean comments that were coming in on one of my stupidest posts. And I was like, what? And I started responding back because sometimes I get in a really sarcastic mood and I shouldn't do this. I'm not suggesting this. But every once in a while it comes. And then I would look at a couple of their accounts and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're little children. They are. and they're like, duh, everyone knows this. And I'm like, oh, did you? Well, not everyone knows it apparently. Like I'm like talking and I'm like, oh my gosh, they're 10-year-olds. And suddenly I'm just wanting to change it because I'm imagining they're like 20-year-olds. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, you think you know, but they're 10-year-olds. I'm like, no, oh, buddy. Actually, you're not supposed to be on this app. So you lied. So you're illegal. No, I don't go there. But I just imagine all these kids that have nothing to do and somehow they got on and their parents allowed it or they just lied.
I don't get mad at the kids.
I know, but I didn't know they were 10.
Right. Oh, for sure.
And they're so mean.
Well, it's like Xbox Live. Spend 10 minutes in Call of Duty and wait till you hear how many F words come out of 11-year-olds' mouths. Yeah. It's crazy. Yeah.
So TikTok's totally changed. It's been interesting.
Why don't you use it for business then? Because I know you talk about it a lot and like you coach people to use it.
I know. It's just one of those that the more I tried to use it, the less I wanted to.
Okay.
And the less it was just, it made sense to spend my time and energy on it. Like I studied it. I worked with a guy to really understand TikTok. I find it fascinating. But the creation time on there, I don't have a big enough team to really like create all the content and create the courses and do the strategy. And you know what I'm saying? And it was like, it's not really worth it.
So is there a learning curve to create there as opposed to Instagram?
That's what I was wondering. Like what is better or easier for most people to use Reels or TikTok?
Oh, goodness. Well, Reels is fairly simplified. TikTok has more stuff.
Reels. Like, what's the difference between Reel? Like, maybe this is good. Like, most people probably don't. What's the difference between Reels and Stories?
Okay. Great question.
Thank you.
So
I really do want to know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So if you think about it as like Instagram, one of my comparisons is I say Instagram's like Target. So if you think about Target, when you would go into Target 20 years ago and it was just a drugstore, like a Walgreens, and you wouldn't say like, ooh, I got my pants at Walgreens. And everyone's
I
like,
got this
ooh,
cheetah
cute.
print thong at Walgreens.
Exactly. Or like, where did you get this wreath on your door? Oh, Walgreens. You'd be like, oh, actually, you're not going to believe it, but Walgreens.
Yeah.
And you're going to be like, shh, don't tell anybody. But this is Walgreens. But now we're like super proud of Target, right?
Oh my
We can
gosh.
spend 2 hours at Target. If you told someone you spent 2 hours at Walgreens, you'd be like, or Rite Aid. They'd be like, what?
Walgreens
Are you
is way
okay?
better than Rite Aid, though. Let's
Okay.
just be clear.
I'm just saying. Anyway, or CVS. Is that better?
No.
I don't know.
It's a step up from Rite Aid, but
Yeah.
it's still not Walgreens.
But Target, you're like, you're
I
the
love
boss.
Walgreens.
You're the boss on this one. I don't know this. But you step up. They step up and they give you more reasons to stay. They have more food that they offer. Then they have, designers coming in to do clothing, and then designers doing home goods. And
They're
then
brilliant.
they just have more. So you spend more time and you're excited to go and you're excited to go back and you're going to grab 2 things. Well, that's what Instagram is. They want you to just go to Instagram and get everything from Instagram. So if you think of it like that, then so stories came in because Snapchat was taking people away from Instagram because you couldn't connect with people in video format.
Is Snapchat still around?
It's around.
Is it
yes.
dying?
Oh,
The skinks.
you know,
That's
I
where the
always-
skinks are still.
jeez, you and your skinks and
There's a
huas.
ton of skinks and whoas.
So I don't hear about it a lot. And every time I think like, oh, I don't think it's living or going to survive. I don't think it's alive. I don't think it has a breath. But then I'll see like stock prices went up. So I don't know how they're
I haven't heard
succeeding.
about Snapchat in
Yeah.
forever.
It's really monetizing on their certain demographic, which is a small age group. And I'm curious of how they're going to keep it going when that age group
Right.
phases out. So that's what stories became. And I remember I tease my daughter about this all the time. She hated stories because she was a Snapchat lover. Right. And I said, well, it's just for us old people to get our Snapchat in. And now she doesn't get on Snapchat, but she watches stories. Now they're saying like 60 to 80% of people get on Instagram and they go right to stories. They don't go to YouTube.
So what's the story? What's the difference between a story and a reel, though? As far as like, is it a time thing? Like, do you have more time to do a story?
Well, a lot of different things. So then why were people not getting what they wanted out of stories? They were getting it out of TikTok, right?
Right.
So that's just another version of the growth of Instagram being a target. So they are now offering, so stories are technically 24 hours, 15 seconds long. They last for 24 hours and then they're gone unless you save them to your highlights, right?
Right.
So they're meant to be more of just like this quick conversation, give you access to things. They're not really curated videos. They're not you going, because you can go onto Reels and you can splice together.
Well, and they're doing
many
all the
seconds.
point stuff, and they're adding
Don't point.
text, and they're doing all that kind
Don't,
of stuff.
Wait,
but
what?
we're not
Point
doing that.
what? What's
well, and
that?
they're like pointing. You can't
And
see me,
like
everyone, but
words
I'm
pop
pointing
up?
to words
Yeah.
like, how do you know if
that.
you should blah, 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 do? Yeah. Do you stay on?
And
or
nobody ever points right. It's like,
Like, you need to make that. Let's do that. Let's do that when we're done with this podcast. We're going to make a really bad pointing reels for Bam Bams. We're going to have you pointing and it's going to pop up somewhere else. And when you point somewhere else, that's brilliant.
you guys are going to want to watch that last 20 seconds on YouTube.
Yeah, that
Just
was
so you know. You're welcome.
so pretty.
I think I was cross-eyed too when I was doing that.
It's just a way to make different type of content that's consumable, that stays longer. So you can create, you're really more of video editing. It's not just you talking. It's not just you showing something. It's creating a storyline in 15 to 30 seconds, right?
Okay.
So it's a cute little consumable, but also shareable. I'm not sharing your stories where you're like, hey guys, it's Cam. Like that's not shareable. But if you're like,
But you can't share stories, right?
you can to certain
you, like,
people, you
can
can to
target
certain
them,
things.
right?
Like I can't
Or
share it to
send
my
them to a
stories.
person.
Yeah.
But like
Unless they tag you,
Correct.
right?
But like, let's say for Bam Bams, you were going to do a reel that said, don't forget this one ingredient that's going to make your smoked meats taste amazing. Blah,
Right.
blah, blah. And yours is going to be, it's water. It's love. It's love. I say water, you say love.
And fat.
Water, love. So you're going to do that one, but it's something that gives me information. So I'm going to share it. Like, did you guys know this? But I can't really share your story, but I'm sharing that.
And doesn't the reel stay?
So the reels can stay. You can put it in your feed or you can remove it from your feed and save
Okay.
it just into your reels.
Seems like there's a lot of accounts now that have just reels.
Sure.
Like you start scrolling through their posts and they don't have like the little squares.
Right.
They're like the big blocks and they're just reels.
Yeah. I mean, and everything that's new, because Instagram wants you to use this. They want you to be part of Reels because they want to take your attention instead of it going to TikTok. So they want your attention. So they're going to favor you in the algorithm. They're going to say, like, if you use Reels, we might push you to more people. And so people are seeing a lot more virality or interest or views or reach because they're using the darling of Instagram right now, which is Reels. Because like take the attention away from TikTok.
Right.
Are Reels as viral as TikTok videos? Because you hear like some TikTok videos go just crazy. Are Reels the same way?
In different ways,
Okay.
and it's really interesting. There was a TikTok I made with my son.
Oh, I love it. I know exactly what you're talking about.
The Irish accent. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. What's the matter, baby? That one?
Yes,
Oh,
exactly.
I love it.
Would you rather eat?
Yeah.
Again, we say this all the time in our family. Isn't that funny how like social media videos, these clips become part of our like
Well, it used to be like
jokes.
TV shows, like so Friends, the show, like
Yes.
me and my wife. We will talk to each other using
Yes.
Friends quotes.
Pivot, right?
Yeah.
All the time. And for me, I'm a little older. It was the Cosby Show.
Will you
It
beep that,
was-
please, Brent?
I'm a little bit older. Beep. Anyway, so the oh, that's why. I got it. I was like, why? I watched it. Rudy was the best. Oh, I got you. So anyway, but that's what we would quote every Friday at school. But yeah, so that video I made with my son on TikTok did well. It was okay. Then I posted it on Instagram as a IGTV. No, just as a video because it was less than a minute in my feed. It did okay.
Oh, there's IGTV too.
Oh, there's like multiple videos, and we can talk about it if you want.
No, we need to.
But then I posted it as a Reels recently because how my strategy works, I have to have like how I post it. I want to have a Reels. I wasn't in the mood to create one. I think it was when I was like having a weak migraine, and so I was like, oh, I'll just post this one.
Right.
So I shared it, and Instagram is smart enough because it has the chains connected. They knew it came from TikTok, and it says TikTok on it. So they know, and I thought I'd be throttled, kind of like slowed down because it was a TikTok video. I got over 1.3 last time I checked, 1.4 million views on Reels on that video.
10 of those were mine.
Thank
love
you
that.
so much.
If everybody would do, like, I'm starting to see too much of the lip syncing stuff, like where they're dialogue stuff.
Yeah.
Or they'll like try to show some funny scenario based on like song lyrics.
Sure. Some are funny.
You got to nail it. Like if you're going to do it,
Yeah.
do it well.
Yeah.
Like do the timing right. Like actually memorize it.
Yeah.
Like that one, you both had it. You could tell that you guys said it a lot.
Yeah.
Because it was so on the money, and you guys were both comfortable enough to make like fun faces while doing it.
Oh my gosh.
It was hilarious.
His laugh at the end with his face. I was like, you really
And his
committed to
hair.
that. His hair is out of control.
It was
I
awesome.
love that kid. Yeah. So, but on TikTok, that video, I don't even think it broke 100,000 views.
Interesting.
So, but then I think there's a video I have on TikTok that I'll never share on Instagram because it's so dumb, and it had over 1 million views. But you're just like, sometimes you don't really know, but it's worth trying on both. If you have both, if you don't sweat it. Commit to
Do you
one.
have to do it twice? I mean, how do you?
No, you just save it and then upload it into it's not ideal. I
Right.
don't suggest it because they know,
Right.
but sometimes you just do it like I did. I was like, I'm just going to do it. And obviously it was fine.
Right.
Are there certain like types of accounts that do better on one or the other? Like if someone was starting today,
Yeah.
like is there either industry or personality or whatever it is that's better to focus on one over the other?
That's a really interesting question.
Nice job, Andrew.
That was really good.
Oh yeah, bro.
The
Hell
Empress approves
yeah.
of your question. I will answer. I wonder if it's like a demographic thing. If you know what your demographic is and where your demographic is. But I don't know if I would.
So like would a younger demographic do better on
Yeah.
TikTok probably?
Well, if you look at like the TikTok celebrities, it doesn't translate perfectly to Instagram. They'll have 100 million members, followers on TikTok, and then 30 million. Not that that's like we're making fun of it. That's a lot.
But that's a lot less.
But it is a lot less, or like 3 million. And so you'll see in their bios, they're like TikTok following, and they'll like show it because they want to validate on Instagram that no, like I'm actually
I'm a
really a
big
big
deal.
deal. Yeah, like trust
People
me,
know
go
it's
check it
interesting.
out. Or like they'll do that on TikTok to Instagram.
It's
So
the same thing on like YouTube, right? When people have like huge YouTube channels. I guess it's a little
yeah.
different, but
For
they'll make sure to.
everyone knows.
Yeah.
Like,
Throw
I'm
that in there.
big on YouTube. I was big in high school. Like that was a big deal, you guys.
I bet I could throw the ball over that mountain over there.
I bet I was like, I bet you don't even realize like what I was. Well, yeah. I guess for me, if you were asking me personally, like, what should I do? I'd say, well, what is your goal? It always goes back to that. You know, people just go, ooh, I want to start a TikTok. Okay, why? But why do you want to start a TikTok? I just
Sounds
think
like people are looking for parents on TikTok.
I know all these
Like,
10-year-olds.
I should start a dad account, like where
You know
I yell
what?
at kids. They would like it.
You
They're
joke?
Like, I don't know. No, I'm not joking. Like,
I'm serious though. You
like
should.
talking about the grandma thing.
Yeah.
Like, there are probably a lot of kids that don't get parented very well, and it would be really funny.
Or they
to
think
just,
it would be funny to see like parents don't actually do that.
Yeah. Like, if I just tell my daughter, my 13-year-old, like, everything that you notice that I do that is super dad or dorky, or even like if I discipline you, tell me about it and we'll do a video about it.
I think it should just be you. And you're like, hey, you're going to sit here until you eat all your dinner.
And
It's
that's
so
the video.
true.
And that's the video.
I follow
Like,
some
I'm not
dad
kidding.
accounts
I'm
that
not
are so funny that,
Yeah.
what is it, Neat Dad or something on Instagram? And it's
yeah.
just like lawn mowing, New Balance. Like, it's just all dad things, and they're so funny to me.
'Kay.
But I'll bet that would kill on TikTok if you
would.
shot it from the perspective of I'm your dad.
Yeah. But also love.
Well,
You
yeah.
have to have like some love in
For
there.
sure.
If you were just like a meanie,
Well, no, you're
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
It's not just that. Like, being a dad is being loving too, right?
tell me about it.
It's just all of it.
What's my favorite saying? My kids would say is, if I didn't love you, I wouldn't do this if I didn't love you. If I didn't care about you, I wouldn't make this so difficult. If I didn't love you,
I wouldn't give a damn.
but I do love you. So that's why it's so hard. Well, there's a guy, your Korean dad. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
He
I
is
think I've heard of that.
my favorite. He is like, there's just something about him that I'm like, he's my Korean dad. He's younger than I am.
He's
pretty
my
sure.
Korean dad.
I'm pretty sure like he's taught me how to do the finger hearts, the shin. Do you like how I said shin? I don't know if I'm saying it right. Shin. And he just is like, hey, do you want to go to Walgreens? I think he says Walgreens. I don't think he says Rite Aid, by the way.
Yeah, nobody say Rite Aid ever.
But he's like, want to go to Walgreens?
I think Walgreens bought out Rite Aid.
Oh, well, see what I know about my
Yeah.
drugstores. See what I know about my
I know,
drugs.
Lisa. Walgreens is
Nothing.
the target of
I don't know
drugstores.
anything about drugs or drugstores. Nothing. Children. Well, yeah, he'll be like, do you want to go to Walgreens? And he's like, do you want these chips or these chips? Oh, these? That's good. Like, he's the sweetest. And he's gotten this huge audience because he's just this real nice person. He loves cool shoes.
Everybody's just like, will you please be my Korean dad?
Yeah, he's the best. So that's what I'm saying. It's not like you need to do this revolutionary teaching thing. And I think that's for me personally, where TikTok, I was like, what am I even doing here? What does this help my brand? What is the reason? And I just didn't want to be another quote unquote expert saying, here's what you're going to do to make sure you're like, ugh, no thanks.
Yeah.
I just didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
And if I didn't want to do it, you would know. You could tell. And so it's like, I'll just,
It's the same thing with, I mean,
sure.
anything, coaching or just
yeah.
being on social media. Like if it's not authentic, you can feel it pretty quick when it's not real.
Well, and so many people are on there because they just want to be famous. And that's the famous people are on there because they would do it if there were 10 people watching or if there were a million. Like, it's just more real.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Well, we all
It doesn't feel forced.
we all want to be seen and validated.
Right.
And so it just really
But that's
feeds into
different
that.
than being famous. Like, I think a lot of
agree.
people, especially the younger people, like insta famous. You hear that word all the
Yeah.
time. Like, even the YouTubing thing, everybody wants to be, at least when they're younger, they want it for fame.
Yeah. Well, why? Because they see what it entails. They get free stuff. They get to go
Right,
on
right.
trips. It's not really about wanting everyone to stop them at the store. It's like, what do I get for it? I don't have to take a job. I get to get people
sure.
send me stuff. I get to open up boxes of stuff. It just feels really fulfilling in that.
It's just so weird still that that's such a common thing now.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Like that. Like kids with YouTube channels
Oh,
and
yeah.
like social and like all of this stuff you're talking about.
Yeah.
Like that's just how the world
It is
working.
Well, now athletes are going to get paid. College athletes starting next year. You know, like if
I
you
don't
have
know this.
Oh yeah, they
is
passed a
it?
big law that
For what?
you have to pay NCAA athletes to use their likeness.
Oh,
And so now it is
that's-
legal for schools to pay their athletes for using their likeness on things. And
so not to play, not to go to school, but
Correct.
if they're doing any type of
I mean, the
advertising.
NCAA has made billions off the backs of college
sure.
kids for years,
for sure.
and now they'll have to pay up. But they're saying that kids that come into school with large Instagram followings, so now companies can pay them also.
Oh, they couldn't before.
Like me as a brand, like I'm a partner with BYU Athletics.
Okay.
I can't give a free meal to a student athlete. Like that is, what's the word I'm looking for? I've been
Verboten.
It's
Forbidden.
It's against the rules. It's a violation.
Violation.
That's the word I was looking for.
That's a good sports
it's
word.
an NCAA violation. And the book, I'm not kidding, the book is like this thick. With
Just for you to be a
rules.
partner?
No, the NCAA
Oh.
books for student athletes and
Got it.
coaches and boosters and all that. And so, but now I can actually approach his or her agent
Yeah.
and pay them to do a commercial for me.
But now they got to get agents. Oh, can you imagine?
Well, it'd be tough, but at least they
Stress.
can make.
Sure.
Because here's
Sure.
the other sad part: they can't make money for their likeness now.
Right.
But I can't. They can't have a full-time job either. It's not
Right.
even allowed.
Right.
So student athletes, it sucks because they have to get good grades just like everyone else.
Right.
But they have double the schedule
Totally.
that everybody else does because they have practice and working out and all that, and they still have to keep their grades up. And,
And
so,
perform and succeed and keep your
Right.
scholarship.
and then how do
Yeah.
you make money if you can't have a job?
Sure.
And so most of them are way more poor than most kids, but I think that will flip now. Like I think at Taysom Hill, how much money would Taysom Hill have made? Like billboards, number 4 on all the video games, like all his jersey sales. I mean, the amount of money that we brought in.
Think of Taysom and Jimmer, how much money they made
Oh, my
BYU.
gosh.
At least
It's
a couple
insane.
$1,000. I don't know. Does BYU have a lot of fans?
Oh yeah.
I'm not really sure.
Well,
This
and the
works.
fans.
Get out of here, Utah.
Seriously,
Go
Yeah.
find a quarter, Anna.
Come on.
It'll be so. Like the social media thing is going to play huge into
Sure.
this because the bigger they will start being recruited based on that too. Like that will help them get recruited
That's
because
true.
that will make them more
brings money.
valuable to the school.
Yeah.
Well, then now they're going to need to learn how to do it sooner, right?
Yep.
They're going to need to have like strategies
No,
and skills.
100%.
Which is great because it does help you with just understanding marketing audience
Yep.
anyway.
Well, it's very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
I'm
all
saying
it is.
It's the new
Right.
business currency. That is what it is now, right?
Interesting.
How have you seen social change because of Corona? Have
Uh-oh.
you seen or felt it change?
Well, yes. I think people are antsier. They're a little bit more stressed. They're a little more sensitive. You know, it's one of the things I've told a lot of my clients or students is like everyone's really sensitive. Everyone's really raw right now. And so when you think
Let's have an election.
yeah, right? So let's do a lot of things.
Right.
Like it's if everyone is feeling raw, then that's not the time to, get information out there or like really exacerbate it with, a loofah or, we're just like, we're playing kind, play on the side of kind, still show up, still be there, be something that you can. But where we were kind of doing more clickbaity stuff a few years ago and you could just to get the attention, just if you imagine that your audience is really feeling sensitive and a little raw, you're a little softer, you're a little more thoughtful. You're not just trying to get the view, you're trying to add a little more value so that people don't feel like, I'm already feeling oppressed. I'm already feeling overwhelmed. I'm already feeling tired or exhausted or scared.
But are you seeing that from creators right now, or is that
Some.
advice?
Well, I think that's why like your Korean dad is
Right.
doing so well. And I don't know, would your Korean dad be doing this well 2-3 years ago? I don't know, but I doubt it. I think it's because we just need this little bit more of like a softness and a care and a consideration. And so, we were talking before about like influencers selling product. And I think the ones that we feel that are really telling something for us to make our life easier, better, whatever, right? Really giving us and not just selling us
you
something.
can really tell, huh?
I think we can feel it more than
Right.
ever because we're so sensitive to it
Yeah.
and we're consuming more. Like my screen time, I laugh every Sunday when it tells me my screen time report. I'm like, how does it go up every week? Like, how is this happening? Literally, it should not go up every single week for the last 60 weeks. But it's
Makes
not.
sense,
It's not
kind
that
of.
bad. But I'm like, 8%? Like, how many percents can we do? Like, where do
100.
we go here from here?
Do you think
But-
that because of that, like the softer side, was it smart? Is it smart for people to back off?
No. Can I answer that faster?
Yes.
No. No, I think it's the natural inclination, right? So we tend to feel that if someone is overwhelmed or loud or whatever, we're like, oh, I'm just going to be quieter. I'm going to go to the side. I don't want to get messed up in this. And it's a natural tendency. But if we look at like economics, history of business, all of those things for the last hundreds of years, you'll see that the companies that are the biggest, greatest, strongest companies usually started in hard times or grew
For
or
sure.
established themselves in dark, difficult, hard times. And if we're constantly waiting until things get a little bit better, we'll never do it. Because guess what happens? When things are better, I'm using air quotes. I'm never going to say back to normal because that is not a thing. Normal is now. This is normal.
Yeah.
All right.
I love that.
Like this
It's not the new normal.
No.
One of my
It's just
least
what it
favorite
is.
terms
It's just
in
normal.
all of life is new normal.
Yeah, it's just normal. This is just it. This is it. Okay. You know, that's I say that a lot in things. I say, okay, like with a question, like, what does that mean? It's just what it
For
is.
sure.
We're just here now. This is our normal. And so if we wait until things are really great, you know what we'll be doing? We'll be like enjoying our life, watching TV, going to, like, we're not going to be starting a business. We're going to be like, life is great.
Right.
So you have to be present. You have to be a light. You have to show up. You have to offer something because that's the people that everyone's looking for. We're all looking for something. We're all connecting with someone. And if you show up for me at a time where I feel a little more vulnerable and you're not taking advantage of me, you're offering me value. When I have money or when I'm ready, I'm going to come to you because you've created that relationship with me. So of course, I'm going to want to give back. Like reciprocity is so big in relationships that I might not be able to give to you right now, but when I can, you're the first person I'm going to think of because you've given me so much. And I'm going to pay you back. So no, don't hide. Don't wait for better or quote unquote normal. Just do what you can now and spread the value and the light and the goodness that you can right now.
Wow. That's excellent advice.
Wow.
It's really good.
Well, and it's good advice for everything. I mean, how many people wait to buy a house because of interest rates or
Wait to
wait
invest
to get
because you're
married
down.
because I don't have money for a ring or, you know,
Yeah.
like just do it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Nike. You know what I mean? But
Is that
but,
the slogan?
Yeah.
It sounded familiar.
Yeah,
Like,
it's pretty new.
it's pretty.
But it is good advice. But being softer is, I like that too. Just showing your warmer side because, you know, everybody kind of does need a warm blanket right now.
Yeah.
So how do you say when people, if they said, well, that's not real and that's not authentic and it feels like people are just being fake because they only want to talk about the good stuff. And so they're like, if I'm going to show up, I feel like I need to talk about the hard, the bad, the ugly.
Interesting. So you're saying if people are looking at only accounts that are showing positive, they're not being real.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let's talk about the TV shows again. And if you show your episode is like COVID, you're like, I didn't come here to hear
No,
about COVID.
I turned it right off.
I know COVID exists. You know, one of my jokes is when people, you know, want to complain about the pandemic or something like, oh, you got to wear a mask or blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, I don't know if you know, there's this thing happening in my neighborhood. I think it's called a pandemic. And this is what we're dealing with. They're like, yeah, I know. I'm like, yeah, it's, you know, just like, we get it. We're all doing this.
know. Yeah.
That's why it's called pan, you know, because it's happening all over the world. Like we get it. And so it's just like,
Is that why it's called Pan?
yeah,
Really?
not epidemic. It's pandemic. So
But what does
Pan
Pan
Am,
signify? Oh,
pan. Yeah.
really?
It's a prefix.
Oh,
Yeah.
panoramic picture.
Goes all the way
I
around.
need to learn about this.
You're welcome.
Proceed.
So, yeah. So I think it's a mix, right? So one of the concepts that you'd use in business all the time, right, is 80-20. I'm sure you've used 80-20. A lot of people have claimed they've coined it, but it's just a percentage. Let's not overwhelm ourselves and take claim for 2 percentages.
Yeah.
But 80-20 in anything. So if you're a business or if you're a brand, you also want to consider 80-20 for what you're sharing that's uplifting, positive, soft, and 20% where you're connecting, you're real. You don't owe anybody anything. You don't have to show all the dirty. You don't have to go like, yeah, I know it's a pandemic, and people will call you out when they're passionate about something. I get called out all the time. Like, why aren't you talking about this thing? Well, it's not the thing I'm talking about right now. I don't owe anything to anybody, but also I'm sensitive to the fact that they're stressed out about it. So I'm not going to be mean to them. I'm just going to let them know. Whatever. So if you think about it as 80-20 when you're sharing, just like with a child, if a child is freaking out, you're not going to go yell at them. If you did 80-20 for your child, you're going to give them a lot of love and hugs or whatever.
I kind of yell when they're freaking out.
Well, yeah.
Really stop that.
20% of the time, right? So
no, it's probably the other way for me.
Well, let's flip it just for fun and you tell me your results.
It's funny. I wonder where I get that. I've actually struggled with that. Like if my kid does something dumb and gets hurt, I'll be like, what were you doing? It's like they're hurt.
Yeah.
My initial reaction is to be like mad at them getting hurt, which is so stupid. I don't know where I get that from. And then I meet him like, oh, what? I'm sorry, honey. Are you okay?
Yeah. So you make up for it.
Funny?
But that's the thing is 80% of the time we're helping them. We're giving them tools to cope, to get them a Band-Aid or tell them, hey, you did such a good job. I'm so proud of you.
Right.
But 20% of the time it's but let's not do that again. That was not smart. Right. And so any of those types of things, I think it's okay. It's not all roses. It's not all perfect, but it's also not all horrible and doomsday.
So if you're not talking about it, it's not that you're saying it's not there. It's just you're choosing not.
See, I think there's a lot
about that.
I think there's a lot to that. Like when you just said that, Anna, I feel like there are so many people policing what you aren't saying.
Uh-huh.
That's one thing I'll never forget that Tim Drisdom said in that episode we did about racism. With when he said, if
you
your
asked,
silence is racism or something like that.
Well, you said, I think we're talking about something different. Never mind.
I think we were talking about what do they call it? Virtue signaling or something. I was mad about everybody posting the black.
Yeah.
Just the black picture.
Yeah.
Right.
It was it happened with Paris too. Like everybody put a Paris flag. And I'm like, you've never thought about Paris once in your life. Like you're just doing it because it's cool on social media. But then he said something along the lines of,
he said it mattered to him.
Yahosh did.
Mm-hmm.
And that helped obviously to change it. But sometimes I feel like, and I think that maybe it's because of what's going on in the world, but so many people, they don't look at what's in front of them or on your account. They're looking for what you're not doing.
Yeah.
They're trying to pick that out. And I think there's a lot of that happening right now. Like, you're not talking about the election. You're not talking about this.
Everyone's a critic.
Oh my gosh. And it's so frustrating. And it's just projecting. It's just very unhappy people.
Mm-hmm.
And I wonder if there will ever be a day where the keyboard and online stops being that place where you are just a completely different person than you are in real life on the negative side.
Yeah.
People
some people
say,
are better. Some people are
I would agree.
Yeah.
I would agree. But I also feel like that there are so many things that people say online they would never say to me in person.
Sure.
And I wonder if that will ever go away. I think as it becomes more the norm, especially
I would say
after
no. Think about the 10-year-old comments as opposed to the 20-year-old comments. I think it's getting worse.
But bullying has kind of become a very on the surface thing, like something that we've dealt with since the dawn of time, right? You wonder if as we shift more online, which we do more and more every year, what, if anything, will happen to kind of police that or change that? Or are parents more aware of their kids' communication online? Because
I think
it'll be interesting.
And maybe as I'm answering myself, I don't know that it's getting worse. I just think there's more, so it's easier to see the bad examples. Where before maybe there was 10 posts, so if there is 2, it's a huge deal. Where if there's thousands of posts and there's 2 posts, they still get the same attention.
Just talking about posts. I'm
saying the comments. I'm just saying in general,
comments,
there's so much more time is spent there.
Mm-hmm.
It's people can always find. You'll always find what you're looking for, right? So you always find the negative ones.
Sure.
There's just if you if you took a step back in the broad vision, I'll bet it's actually getting better.
I'll bet it is too. Overall, you're probably right. I just wonder if it becomes more normal where you can't really hide your I wonder if it'll ever be like you can't create fake accounts.
That'd be great.
You know what I mean?
There are some people, there's a lot of stuff that people are trying to have that, especially with all the negative and the bots. But I was going to say I think there's two things that we can do. The first thing is I tell some of my clients to say, get really comfortable, like get real comfy with being wrong. Like really
good.
Get cozy.
That's
say,
really
Which is healthy.
I'm wrong. I'm going to be wrong. So even if I share something like Dolly Parton is an amazing individual and I don't know who's going to disagree with me, there's going to be someone that's going to be like, no, she isn't. And I'm like, what? I tried to pick like the nicest person I could think of that like no one would be mad about. But someone is going to say like, no, I don't like Dolly Parton. And if you feel like you are always right, then you're going to be upset. You're going to get frustrated. If you know that whatever you do is going to be wrong to somebody, everyone's an expert and, everyone has their opinion and nobody agrees on all the things.
Right.
And so if I know that, yes, some people are going to think I'm wrong and the people who think that I'm right on this are going to be my tribe, and that's okay. And that's okay that some people think I'm wrong. I think other people aren't right? That's just how we identify. So that's number one is get really cozy being wrong. And so then you're not going to be shocked by it or disappointed when people are like,
so good. Oh my God.
Really
it's
is
really good.
it helps. It
Yeah.
helps
Well,
me.
remember, all opinions are subjective, and we all come from different places. So somebody is going
And they're all time sensitive too,
totally right.
based on when you see it and when it happens.
That's the other crazy thing that we've got to get rid of somehow.
It's
Just
time.
combing back 20 years and finding some stupid thing that somebody said and canceling them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
For sure. And that will. And I think we're just seeing, like, again, we're all very raw and everything's aware and we're all at home. And so we just saw a lot more.
Right.
But the other thing is not holding others to the space that we don't want to be held to. So if you don't want people to worry about
Golden
every
rule.
word you say, I know it's so simple
Right.
and yet it's
so
golden
hard
for
to
a
do.
reason.
Yeah.
I mean, that book, Dale Carnegie's book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, my son's just reading it right now. And we're having these like deep conversations about it. I'm like, how is this not required reading?
Yeah.
Because even he says in the book, like, I didn't create this. This came from Gandhi and Muhammad and Jesus and like all the people. Like, this is not new stuff. It's just about treating people like, even how they, some people say, no, it's not how you want to be treated. It's how they want to be treated. That's fine. And I'm not going to like, semantics about that. But if you don't want people to,
say that?
yeah, it's like, but if you think about it, like if you want to replace some things that you're doing, like don't treat your customers how you want to be treated. Think how they want to be treated.
Well, I guess that's
like
marriage.
it can work. It's marriage. It's love
Right.
language. Yeah. It kind of comes
That's
from
totally
that
true.
concept.
That's a big one in marriage.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I
Yeah.
did the dishes. That's a big deal.
I want
my
you to want
gosh.
to
Like,
do
no,
the
I want you to
dishes.
snuggle. Oh. Okay.
I thought you were wanting to snuggle. Yeah, my husband's like, he wants time.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, that is the hardest thing for me to
For
get.
sure.
And I'm here for you. What can I do?
sure.
But yeah, so it's just not expecting that everyone, if we don't want people to always be judging everything we say, then just give people a benefit of the doubt. And if it bugs you, mute them, turn it off, swipe by. Like,
That's what I don't understand about it still is like, if you don't agree, then just stop. Like,
yeah.
Like, why do you waste time, energy, and effort to let them know? It's just
Yeah.
like, just move on.
It's this really cool thing that you have control over that not everyone, so many people feel like they don't have control. Like, these people on social media are doing this. Okay. Do you follow them? Like, I follow old ladies like, and they benefit my life. And I follow like the things that are really adding to it. And if I find that I'm getting angsty or feeling negative, or it's not adding to my life, it's energy in, energy out, right? If I'm like, oh, I like this and it's giving me positive, I'm being kinder to my kids, I'm productive, then it's worth it. And if I feel like I'm getting that yucky inside, angsty, then I'm like, why am I doing this?
It's so important to be aware of that because we were talking about TV shows, right? House of Cards. And it's true, like at a certain point, like TV shows, I think it's so important for people to actually be aware of that.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to not be aware of it. But if I watch 4 or 5 episodes in a row, like the earth is a darker place for a minute.
Totally.
And I have to like jump out and go to something more positive. And I mean, being online, I think that's so important. I don't think we talk about that enough. I mean, until you just said it, I don't really think about it. I just know my own little compass as far as like, ugh, I'm feeling a little icky right now.
Right. Well, and people will say, this individual is doing this or that. Or actually what I meant to say is people will ask me like, is it hard when you lose followers? And I say, no, like I tell people, if I'm not adding to your life, you're going to unfollow me.
Right. So,
and it's not personal. It's not me. You actually don't know me. There are very few people who really, really know me.
geez, there's some good stuff coming out right now.
Oh, sorry.
That's so true.
But yeah.
Like you have to separate. I've never thought of that way. Like why? How you can't take anything personally if they don't know you.
Oh yeah. So
but it's so hard
people
to
will
separate
say
from
the
that.
funniest things to me, and I'll like just respond like, "That's really funny." I think if my husband thought that about me, someone said that about me, he would laugh. But that's okay because I can understand how you got to that place.
Right.
But I don't say that very often. I don't waste the time. But one I just did recently. But I just think it's like, okay, I can see how that was frustrating, and I can apologize if it hurt somebody. But I don't have to hold it. I don't have to take it on and say, this is me. Now I identify with that. It's like, oh,
right.
I affected you and I see that that's what I did. And I apologize. That wasn't my intention. And here's who I still am. And my loved ones know this and I'm okay with that. Like I'm okay with
Right.
mine. But we can't show ourselves. I can't show you everything because I can't handle all of you. I can't handle all of you. I can't handle all of everyone on social media. That's not why we go. We go because it's like TV. We go because I get this out of it.
Right.
I get this little thing out of it. If you try to show me your whole life, I'm overwhelmed. I'm exhausted.
For sure.
Think about it.
Well, and I like the analogy of, I was talking to my sister about this the other day. Hopefully she doesn't get mad at me talking about this, but I have very, very strong division inside of my immediate family with
Yes.
politics. And it's really reared itself or reared its ugly head. And what's funny is I'm the oldest of 5 and I'm rarely the voice of reason. But in this one, I'm kind of the middle ground, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was talking to one of my sisters about, and I'll get to my point, like this applies to what you were saying, but she is just talking about all of these negative things that are going to happen and that she's worried about. And I think just like you were talking about, it's so important for us to pull back out and look at our real life, like your loved ones. You mentioned your loved ones. Mm-hmm. Like with her, I kind of did something funny. She's just so worried about all these bad things happening. I said, hey, do you have a Peloton? And she's just like, wait, why? Are you going to make fun of me if I do? And I'm like, oh, no, do you have one? She's like, well, yeah, I love it. I'm like, life's pretty good then, right? What do you mean? I'm like, you have a Peloton. Do you know how much those things are? Like, you have to back out of the computer for a minute and look outside and see the sun shining and see how great life is and that you've got healthy kids and everybody loves you and everything's good. I would imagine that applies so much to social media too.
Oh, totally.
Like you have people that love you very much that these people online have nothing to do with. Everything's great. Like don't let yourself worry about it. And I think it's the same with COVID. I think it's the same with the election. It's so easy to go down these I think the election has affected us way more negatively than COVID ever has. I think COVID maybe amplified it a little bit.
Right. I think it's just a lot of.
But man, like you said, everyone's just raw right now, and it's just there's no filters. Like they picked their side of the fence, and they're just kind of spewing things out. And it's so important for us to just take a step back and turn off the House of Cards, Cameron.
Yeah,
if you're 4 episodes deep and you think everyone is evil, because on that show so many people are. And if you see a lot of negativity online, log off for a minute. Go and be around people that love you and remind yourself that life's good.
It is.
It's hard to do, though.
Yes. Yeah. It's hard to do, but it's important. It's funny because just the other day, my 5th grader and I were in the car and a song came on the radio and I said, ooh, I want this to be on my funeral playlist. He's like, Mom, I do. I legit have a funeral playlist. And he's like, Mom, it's why do you have this? I'm like, I just want you to know life is good. And, don't be sad when I'm gone because you're still living. I know it's a big deal when the Empress dies, but is it Styx? Oh, crud. What is it's put my hand on the dollar bill and the dollar bill flew away. You know that song?
Oh,
but the sun is shining down on me and I'm here to say, yay. That's why I'm telling you, I just want to celebrate.
No.
Yeah.
It's in the Invincible soundtrack.
Oh,
Mark
geez.
Wahlberg.
Do I do
I
this?
love that.
You know the song? I just want to celebrate another day of living. Yeah. It's from the 70s. Again, I'm a little older than you. But and so I like stopped it and I said to my son, I'm like, isn't that a really good line? Like I put my hand.
That song?
That's a great song. Yes. Is it Styx? Oh, it's Rare Earth.
Yeah.
Dang it. I felt it as soon as you're. But yeah, here it is. You can put the voice over. Come on, this is such a good song. Can you imagine when you're at a funeral? You're
Such a good song.
yeah, why am I crying? She lived a good life. You feel it? You feel it? And you're like, pass the funeral potatoes. I just want to celebrate. Where's the Jell-O salad? Yeah.
Funeral
Croissants. Yeah.
Okay.
Croissant sandwiches. But like that lyric, put my hand on the dollar bill, but the dollar bill flew away.
Right.
But the sun is shining down on me and it's here to stay. And I was like, dude, like listen to that with me. Like all these things that we think are such a big deal, they fly away. Like not just money, but you know, anything we think we're good at. He's big into basketball and like it's all fleeting. But every morning you wake up and the sun is out. How awesome is that? Like look outside and you have this day, celebrate another day of living. And I think it's true for like me talking to my son about it, but also like we get so stuck in all these things happening and social media can amplify it, but also social media can amplify the sun is shining down.
Right.
And not just what are you posting, but what are you receiving and how are you like receiving it? So own that as well. Own your reception of it. And if you're like getting annoyed by it, then go find something else. But if it's helping you, find the light because it can. It can also help you go like, I didn't know that. That's really cool. I'm going to go now share that with my family or do good for my family or build my business or whatever it is or make that recipe. I mean, there's so many good things we can learn from it too. And so but it's, again, it's fleeting. Fame is fleeting. You want to be famous on Insta famous? Okay, but guess how long that lasts?
You don't want to be famous.
You don't. And it's so fleeting. And
It's okay to want to be rich, but don't be famous too.
do good things
You want to be
with.
wealthy.
Oh,
Okay, well,
all right. Financial guy.
wealthy. Here we go. Semantics. No, I'm just kidding.
There's a big deal with
Well,
these-
Andrew
It's a big deal.
Andrew always says
I wanna be
you'll
rich and
find
wealthy.
you'll find whatever it is that you're looking for.
Yep.
And you got to take a step back behind that. Like, yeah, you got to be able to like in the moment say, wait, what am I looking for right now? It's really easy to be sad, right? Like sad doesn't really take a lot of work.
Because misery loves company.
And misery loves company. But you just have to be aware, like, okay, because sometimes when you're sad, you want to listen to sad music.
Yeah,
You want to be sad for a minute. And I think that's okay.
it is.
As long as you know that there's a limit and at some point you got to put on Rare Earth and listen to some good music and get some vitamin D.
Yep.
And just get out there. But sometimes it's hard to know when to say when with that.
And it's just being in control a little more than you are. So when you say like, oh, Instagram's doing this or Facebook's doing that, you know, at some point it's learning what's actually happening and educating yourself. So you're like, oh, it's not actually happening to me. It's either happening for me or I change it. And, you know, we think we're out of control, but if we see it as all the things it's giving us and then are aware of it, then we make better decisions and it's not all happening to us. It's because there's a lot of positive stuff that comes out of social media, out of Facebook, out of targeted ads, out of Netflix, out of Google. You know, there's a lot of cool stuff that we get at our fingertips that we didn't have before.
Right.
And so it's happening for us, but being aware of it, then you can actually control it a little more and say, oh, I see that they're doing this in the algorithm. I'm not going to partake of it. I see what they're doing. I'm not afraid of it. It's like, okay, move.
Changing that one word makes such a massive difference.
What do you mean?
For
Changing to us or changing for us.
Oh, yeah,
Or
yeah.
happening to us or happening for us.
And that's a good one.
working for us.
Yeah.
You know, like it's a tool and a tool can damage. It's like,
Because it needs ownership. Instead of being a victim, you become the owner of it, right?
right.
And so,
Social media evens the playing field too, which I've never really thought of.
Yeah.
Like, I really like that it's so healthy to think of it as you can find whatever it is you're looking for, including positive. And there's this few I wish I could remember their names right now so I could give them a little bit of love. But one thing that is really cool about social media that I've never really thought about before is it is an equalizer. It's not about who you know. It's,
Sometimes.
I mean, yes,
Yeah.
of course.
Yeah, it can.
Of course. But like cream rises to the top. Like if you have, there's this couple, I really wish I could think of it, but the husband is one of the funniest. There's just something about this guy that is hysterical and just fun. And he could just recite a recipe and it would be funny. Just the way that he talks. And I love that account.
I'm like really curious.
I'll find it as soon as we get off, but it's cool because now there's so many amazing people that have so many talents that are so whatever it is that you're looking for, right? Now, like without any money, without any representation or whatever else, like you can kind of let your light shine, for lack of a better term, and really cheer up. Like even if you've got 100 followers, that's 100 people that all know another 100. Like
that's what's weird. Like when you really take a second to step back and think, like, am I going to interact with 100 people today? No, not even close.
Nope.
I might interact with 20, right?
Right.
You know, but it's like, you think about that and it's like 100 followers. It's like, oh, it's nothing. It's just insane to think of the reach that you have.
Right.
Because of technology now.
Like when Anna posts.
Yes.
The fact that she said that she had 1 million people watch.
There are 5 Wembley stadiums completely full of people that are watching.
Sounds like a lot. I don't know what the
Wembley Stadium. Let's see.
Feels
what concert?
Really
since you like classic rock, like remember Farm Aid? Did you watch Queen or the Queen movie?
Yes.
Okay, remember the concert at the very end?
Yeah.
That was Wembley Stadium.
Oh.
Where he came out on stage and there was
London.
Yeah, in England.
Yeah,
yep.
yeah.
Like every time you post, you've got 5 of those full of people following.
It's really kind of intimidating. When
it's crazy.
I'm fine.
Like I only have like my Bam Bam's account. Like you and I talk about it all the time. Like how do we get more followers? How do we get more followers? But it's like I'm super small compared to most, but it's still, I don't know, 65% of the Vivint Arena. It's 70%. Like it's a lot of people.
I love that you guys are bringing this up because I say this too. I'm like, if you even had 1,000 people come in to hear you speak, you would be so nervous.
That's a massive group.
And I can't think about that because when I get on my stories and I have I look like I just got out of bed because I probably did. And if
you went to bed late, it's okay.
It's fine. I woke up.
Yeah.
But if I think about like how many people are watching, like I don't leave my house looking like that when I see 20 people, right? But I show up because in my mind I'm only talking to 1-2 people. It's like friends. And so that's why I connect with people because it feels like they're actually talking to someone they know because I'm not going, oh, hello, I'm on stage. Does everyone know me? So I love that you brought that up because if people really thought about them as actual people, as actual butts in seats, they're going to be like, dang, that's impressive that anybody cares what I have to say.
Yeah.
That 5 people care what I have to say, let alone 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever. But yet we're looking at them not as people. We look at this like random number. It's my followers. Like
this vanity metric. Yeah.
Vanity metric.
Amen.
Damn it, Andrew. You are good.
That's what it's
he's a life coach now. We haven't talked about that yet. We need to.
I need some life.
And anybody that listens to this podcast knows that he would be really good at it. Vanity metrics, son of a bitch.
There's a lot of things.
That's a great term.
That's not from me.
I know, but just the fact you remember it, and you know it, it's great. Because it's a perfect way to look at it. Because it's
about your
cool
vanity.
Unless you have this many followers.
Yeah.
But it's like you got to remember that number those are all real people.
Well, I'm gonna give you a little credit. We always do on the podcast, but
most of it's true.
Almost all of it. But your course, we haven't talked about it. So I've gone through, I had my wife, my mom go through it, and you talk a lot about that, like the number of followers is irrelevant based on what it is you're trying to do.
Right.
And so my wife who breeds dogs,
right,
like she has this Instagram account, and I think she's up to like 700 people, which is awesome.
Totally.
But she has sold dogs all over the United States because of this account. Like it's wild. Like
her market just
because she doesn't need 1 million people to watch her. She doesn't want 1 million buyers. We have 3 puppies she's trying to sell. Right. And so it's like she's used it in such a way that it is exactly what she needs and how she needs to use it.
But it's also the people you want buying your dogs because they're actively like, I mean, I've never thought about that.
But
It's almost filtering your customers
For
out
sure.
for you.
You don't
Yeah.
even need followers for that.
No.
Like she could have had 20 followers and still sell because the people who are buying aren't necessarily going to follow you. They're just going
looking
to
for
check
her.
in and they're
So
gonna
that's
be
what's wild.
Yeah.
Like she was telling me her number. She had like this last week, she had like 16 or 17,000 like
impressions.
And I was like, wow, that's way more than we've ever had on anything we've done. But anyways,
Dogs it's a good place to be on Instagram.
But
the
I think
dog
it's-
Instagram is insane.
but it's such a cool like success story for what you do through your
Totally.
course, because that's what you teach people to do and how to use it,
Yeah.
as opposed to just getting caught up in, because it'd be really easy for her to be like, oh, I don't have a big account. I'm not going to post.
Right.
I'm not going to do this. Oh, I'm not gaining hundreds of followers. But yet when it comes down to it, she has a wait list for
Yeah.
however long for all these puppies that are coming.
I can't wait till you guys move into a kennel. We're just gonna have a mat. Like my dream house has an ice rink in it. Like I can just play hockey in my basement.
Ooh, nice.
You guys are gonna have a
Oh,
big
it's-
floor for breeding.
It's there.
Wait,
Well,
for
a
dogs.
second floor for breeding. Yeah.
You got there
Just
fast.
kidding. But yeah, I mean, that's it. There's so much. I feel like everything we've talked about is so. There's an entrepreneurial angle. Like even if you just want to be seen, you want to perform. Like we all know people that are just born performers,
Right.
and social media gives them that outlet. And it doesn't matter what the algorithm says. Like we said earlier, like cream will rise to the top. If you're funny, all you need is for a few people to you got to see this guy, and then those few.
Well-
it will be seen.
It's
if
like what
you're
I-
talented.
It's what
it
I
will
tell
be
my
seen.
friends with like the youth sports. Like if your kid's good enough, he's going to make the good team.
Right.
I don't care how many traveling
for sure.
things, this or that. Like if your kid's good,
Yeah. Don't be a
they're
Karen.
gonna play. Like it is what it is. To your point, like
I did that the other day.
what?
I talked to one of my kids' coaches about playing time.
Oh, you did.
That's embarrassing. Let's switch the topic so you don't look like I'm just
but-
teasing.
Well, we got to be okay with being wrong.
I mean, yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's just embarrassing.
me
You don't
that.
have like 80-20. You don't have to tell
But
people.
you have to explain it. I am not one of those parents. It's like, no, you got to earn playing time.
Yeah.
But when you've got a humongous lead
Oh,
and this child just needs some more experience, put the kid in.
Yeah.
They didn't, because all they're seeing is that they're not paying attention. So I wasn't saying it needs to be fair. I'm not like that. I'm like, that's a good learning experience for this child, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, if you're good, like you just said, Andrew, if you're good, you're going to play. So if you want to play, practice.
Yeah.
Like get better. And so yeah. But that's the thing. Like what you said applies to everything.
Uh-huh.
Like if nobody's buying your product, do it better. Right?
Everyone wants to play victim, like, oh, it's this or that, or oh, the algorithms
you
hide
see
my
it-
videos. No,
Oh,
your video
there
sucks.
anything
Dude,
I
the
hate?
restaurant game is the king of what
You
you're
get
saying
instant
right
feedback.
now.
It's awesome.
Right? Everyone thinks they're being, and you've seen it with COVID. Like nobody's coming in to buy anything. It's like, well, look at our economy. That's not the problem. People are spending money more than ever right now.
Seriously.
There are industries that have quadrupled in size because of COVID. What are you doing to adapt to it? Maybe they don't like your food. You've got to be able to say like, I'm wrong, or my recipe sucks. Change it. And
or offer different value, right?
Right.
So
It's like
a lot of
the
times,
3 C's of entrepreneurs, right? You have to create,
comes.
critic,
Sounds
and
okay.
something else.
wait, what is it?
Hold on, I'm gonna
create,
find it. There's 3 C's. It's
consume.
it was on Shark Tank. Do you know what I'm talking about?
No, I don't. I
it.
just made up some C's.
Crush it third.
Kill it.
Create.
Oh, that's okay.
Crush it.
I'm going to find it. You keep talking.
Challenge.
Challenge.
Yeah.
Let's think of a bunch of C
Well,
words.
I mean, let's not. Just for fun.
Anna, you and I, we can't hang out.
Anyway,
Right.
not recorded at
So
least.
creative, critic, and crusade.
Oh, okay.
So you have to
Oh, I
you have to
see.
create it, but then you have to be your worst critic. And once you're that, you have to go. You have to be a crusader.
It's so hard to be a critic. Like
That's everyone skips that step. They create it
sure.
and they go on their crusade, but they're never the critic.
that's interesting.
Well, and I was going to say, I think that people so often talk about their features first, and I don't care about your features, like especially on social media. So
Simon Sinek, right?
yeah, okay, yes.
What did you just say?
He calls him cynic. I call him
Simon
cynic because cynic sounds like a different C word. The cynic, not a different one. Anyway, But yeah, if you're always talking about your features, like, for example, Cam, if you're like, I get here at 5 a.m., I smoke meats for this long, this is all the stuff I do. And I'm like, cool. It doesn't help my life. That doesn't make my life better or worse. And in fact, it makes me feel like I'm trying to feel bad for you. And then that makes me feel kind of weird and icky. But if you're
manipulation.
Yeah, but if instead you start talking about the benefit to me,
my juicy meat.
Yes, if you're like, you can come at 3:00. This is what's offered. This is the special. Oh, do you want to know what to do with if you have any pork left over? I know you won't, but if you did, do you know what you can do? You can add it to this, and then you gave me so much value, and then that's about me. Then I feel valued. But if it's about you, about all the features, like we have this many smokers. I almost said grills. Oh, that got close. We have this many smokers. We have this many employees. I don't care.
Right.
That does nothing for me.
Put that story somewhere where they can find it if they want it. Right. But don't just.
Well, no, talk in terms of benefit to them.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, don't be. It's funny because you hear that and it's like, well, I'm proud of my story. Well, it's like, that's okay. You can put that in the about section.
Yes,
yeah,
yes,
I see what you're saying.
yes.
You know what I mean? Like, if people want to know your background, like, talk about it.
That's on your blog or your
But see, I've
website,
noticed that on
really.
Instagram. I was looking through, I've just used Instagram so much as my.
What not to do?
Shut up, Anna. No, like, the only time. It's low-hanging fruit. It's like I post when I need to tell my customer something, like be here at this time. I'm doing Christmas Eve, whole meats or whatever. And I'm like, but I'm a restaurant. Like people come here for my food. I'm not posting any food. Mm-hmm. And it's funny. I posted a picture of brisket like a week ago and I had more interaction with that than anything I've done in like a year.
Yeah.
And it's a picture I've used 4 times already, like over the last 7 years. And it's like,
I don't remember your stuff. Nobody remembers your stuff as much as you do. Right. I remember what's happening in my life. You could post the same thing every few months and we'd be like, oh, dang, that was good.
True. Well,
right?
and I learned from you I can archive the old ones so I don't look like I'm reusing them. No biggie.
Yeah. And that's
class.
the thing is it's about me, not Anna, but like me, the user. Like what is the benefit for me? And I'll just keep coming back because you're giving me value. You're not just saying like, here's more about me. And can I tell you anyway?
Right.
Nobody wants to hear
super tired, so come buy the food.
That's why Apple's so good.
I did this for you.
Yeah.
So this book talks about as an example for Apple, instead of talking about like the iPod and their storage, it talks about in terms of number of songs in your pocket.
Sure.
I love it.
Yeah,
So when they
because
launch,
you don't know
totally
what
different
a
perception.
So
megabyte
it's like
is,
an iPod, it's 10 gigabytes. Like no one knows what that means, but they're like, it's 1,000 songs in your pocket. They're
there
like,
are 1.21 gigawatts on the
Gigawatts?
new iPad. Isn't that what Back to the Future is? Gigawatts?
I was going to say, what is that? The
1 point.
flex capacitor?
Flex capacitor. It's like, what?
Capacitator.
10,000 songs.
Right.
Oh, I'm in. You're totally right.
yeah.
Right?
You should have some potatoes.
That's
call
what-
them flex capacitors.
Oh, my gosh.
It just occurred to me. You're welcome. No charge.
Funeral
Funeral
flex
capacitators.
Oh, my gosh.
No funeral.
That is hilarious. Wow. This is the side of social media I think most people have to hear because you are so good. Like your career is teaching people how to utilize social media for their business, right? Like their products. But what's really cool about this compared to the last episode is now I feel like we're getting to like the personal side of social media, like what it can do for you. Also, like what you have to watch out for and how you need to treat it. It's like I guess more the personal side or the connection side of using it for your business. Because you also have to be aware of you when you're doing all this.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah, use it for your business, but you're also using it to consume, to learn.
Sure.
I'm not teaching about recipes. I'm not teaching about financial things, but I can still learn something.
Right.
And I can still gain that information. So it still benefits me. I'm still a consumer and a sharer. Like we all play both roles.
I wonder what the ratio is on average for most people.
I think it's probably really disappointing. Oh yeah, I think consumption's way higher than creation for sure.
Huh.
And that's why, because you had made a comment, I'm not like this is the one thing I feel like I should fix. No, you said something on one of your podcasts that because you, Andrew, you had brought up like that I said set a timer, and I think you had the wrong number. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But no, like set a timer for when you're going to be working, like, right? So when you're on and you're sharing, and then when the timer goes off, you get off. And
I
then
totally
Cam,
remember this. I'm like, I'm going to get in trouble for this.
Yeah.
I'm like, but
you're
you want people.
Look at my face. You're in so much trouble. Like, I'm so mad. No, but you're like, but that's not very fair. Then you're just wanting people to come on and take care of your stuff or be and consume your stuff, but you're not doing the same. No, it's a totally different thing. It's like business and then there's consumption. And it's okay to set timers for both.
For sure.
But the problem is we get on and we start consuming, and we start comparing and we look at all the things. And then suddenly we're like, how has this been an hour and a half and I feel worse? Then that's not really, using it as the tool that it is. Right. So
now
yes.
You have hemorrhoids.
Yeah. Why?
Well, because you look at it on the toilet.
Oh.
Don't do that, people.
That's weird.
That I wasn't going to bring up social dilemma. Okay.
If you want to.
No. This is a very quick, funny point.
Okay.
I think I talked about this before. The dude that's like, what do you do first in the morning? Like, look at your phone or pee?
Yeah.
I know he was just like sugarcoating the fact that he takes a dump with his phone in his hand.
He said there's two types of people. Those who look at as they're going to the bathroom.
Oh,
or
yeah.
like after.
No, but he says pee.
Yeah.
As you're going pee. And I'm like, no. He's talking about poo.
I love that your bowel movements are that consistent. That says a lot about you.
Eat
it, Bam Bams.
Eat it, Bam Bams.
Eat it,
That's
Bam
right.
Bams.
If you want to be regular. Brisket.
Well, okay, I'm not talking about social dilemma.
No,
I'm just gonna
I didn't want to either.
I'm just going to say, though, if this is one of those things where educate yourself, like if you realized why Netflix put on this show, it was to get the attention off something else that they were doing. It was an old show. It was an old documentary, been over a year and a half since they had made it, and they put it on at a time where they wanted the spotlight off them.
Wait, is that true?
It's totally true. and that's the
we
thing.
Never talked about that.
It's okay though. It's not something that, because that's the thing, is everyone.
Hold on, what were they doing? They wanted the spotlight off.
Is it Cuties?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That came out after Cuties?
Yeah. So all these people were like deleting their Netflix accounts, and guess what happened? Everyone's like social dilemma on social media, and they're like at Netflix. How many times do you think Netflix got tagged because that's where they're watching? And then suddenly people are like, I have to watch this, so I know.
People are so dumb.
But if you realize everything that you feel, everything especially you're feeling with fear, take a second and realize, okay, what's this fear really wanting me to do? What are the people that are creating this fear wanting me to do? So they want the attention off them. But like Google, Amazon, Netflix, they all do the same things. It's not that as scary as they made it sound. Like, yeah, if you're not being wise and if you don't have the scary music and the dramatic 3-person algorithm, like, and then you're like, oh, I guess it's not that scary after all. But, I guess the scary music's trying to make me feel something. You know what I mean?
100%.
If you like
they really push the fear.
That's okay. But like strip down anytime you're feeling fear about something, especially that someone is pushing on you, and think, okay, what are they trying to do? What's their goal? And then what can I do? And just kind of strip it down a little, like, okay, I'm not going to feel fear from this. I'm going to say, what can I do to control this and not go, this is so scary. Everything's dying. Like Netflix they were trying to get the eyeballs on someone else, even though they do the very same thing in Amazon and Google, all the things, they all do it.
Right.
And then you're like, oh, now I know a little better. So I'm going to respond differently.
You watch House of Cards, you'll learn all about that.
Apparently.
Everything is a distraction to cover up something else.
And I just want to add that this podcast was sponsored by House of Cards and Peloton.
I'm going to get in trouble for House of Cards because it got shoved to the bottom because Kevin Spacey
is a naughty man.
Right?
Speaking of not talking about Cosby Show, but you're talking about Kevin Spacey.
I mean,
not really what's happening
worse?
here.
I still think Bill Cosby wins.
Because we thought Cosby was a good person, and no one thought Kevin Spacey was a good person.
That's kind of like Tiger. His new documentary came out on HBO Max, and it was. It's hard. It's hard to watch. It's because Tiger did the same thing. Like he was this perfect, like disciplined, goody two shoes, and nope. He had 10 hookers in his hotel room last night. And
last night? Of this recording?
It was like 2 years ago. No,
I was like, dang, you are plugged in.
But you're right. I mean, it is important to look at. I had no idea. I thought Social Dilemma was new. Like, I'm usually pretty good at seeing that because Netflix changes their thumbnails.
Yeah.
Brilliantly, by the way. Like, they know kind of what will grab your attention. Like, because you'll see it. Like, you'll see House of Cards one day, for example. We're just talking about it. But then the picture of it on the Netflix app will be totally different the next day.
Oh yeah, that's all strategy, right? Yeah.
And they'll put something like in the new release column, you'll click on it and it'll say like 2018.
Yeah, new doesn't
But
mean
it's something
new.
that they think that you'll want to watch.
And the
Apple Hall podcast too, like the new and noteworthy is not a new podcast.
No.
Absolutely right.
It's all the same.
Well, and I will say though, Social Dilemma duped me because I had no idea that.
Well, and
had
they
been
could
done
say
that long.
2020, but they had edited, they'd like added things to it
Right.
so that the date changed. But the whole point is they had owned it for a while. And so the timing, like, who knows? I'm not going to get all
Right.
crazy here, but it's just like, okay,
No, it's
what
a
was
good
their goal?
example,
What's
though.
their goal? Like, why are they trying to make you feel afraid?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, we need to wrap up. I want to make sure you talk about your courses because you've changed them.
Always.
What?
No, listen.
You've done a ton of work on
Yeah.
them. And so people are listening. Anyone who has an idea or any desire, hearing you talk about social media, it'll make you want to learn more from you. And since we have to stop the podcast, I want to make sure that we have the chance to let you talk about it a little bit.
So they change because social media changes and the way we receive content changes and the way we receive information changes. So I try to be adaptive as well. So the truth is, by the time someone's listening to this, not by the time you post it, because they could be listening to this in 5 months,
Yeah.
there's always something. So if you just come to my Instagram account, Anna is the worst, then you'll know, you can ask me, you can DM me, I'll tell you what's going on. But there's always something depending on what level you're at. And if you want, beginner type content, that's for free. I give beginner content for free because you can find it. I'll just give it to you. Like that's the content I share all the time. But if you really want growth, that's when we have a level. And if you want, to get to the nationals, then that's a bigger program.
Right,
That's
right.
a bigger.
Basically, you
not
have
Olympics. I'm not that. I don't charge that much.
But I mean, you have something for the majority of people wherever they are.
Yeah.
Well, and the product's always evolving, right? Like
Correct.
you buy it. See,
You won't
I'm still
like-
only like 2
I know.
episodes in.
I can actually see how far you've gotten.
I'm
FYI.
sorry.
You
I can
won't
actually see.
outgrow it.
But
Yeah.
it's still like that product I bought is still growing, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's really, really cool because, like you said, things are always changing. So you feel like if you buy a class, is that going to apply next year? And it's like until you do a
Yeah.
fresh start.
But like your Instagram course, even that, like you introduced like an influencer in a box, you introduced like the hashtag tool, like all of these cool tools and
Wow,
other
thanks.
features you continue to release along the way. And so I think it's a super valuable tool.
Thanks.
So I want to make sure that was talked about because
appreciate it.
we had a lot of fun, but that's really important that they hear about that.
I appreciate it. Yeah, I'm right now. There's even something, and this is going to be old in 5 months, but no. But there's even like a swipe file you can get for ideas for reels. So you're not like, what am I going to do a reels for?
Oh my gosh, that's what I
There's
need.
a whole swipe file. So you're just like, it prompts and going, oh,
I
that's a
just
good
never
idea.
think. It's like I know I need to post,
I know.
but then it's like, but what do I post? Like
For me,
that's really cool. I need to
Yeah.
do that.
anyways, thank you.
Yeah. Thanks, you guys.
You're the
Can't wait
best.
for 3.0.